Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Outlaws and Gunslingers, and we are back for another two-part episode. Yes, that's right, two-part episode here. Again, we had to take a, last week, a little 30-minute-er to take a break from the big long hour, one-plus hour ones we've been doing. D.B. Cooper was part two parts. We got this one, like we told you last week, all about the bombing of Flight 629. We also got one about the Hells Angels coming up. Yes, that's right, Hells Angels. You knew we'd be covering them at some point, and that's probably going to be a two-parter as well.
maybe a three-parter.
Lots of stuff at the Hells Angel one for show. But for now, another airplane-themed episode.
And I'm guessing more incompetence.
Another
by the FB Izzles.
By the FB Izzles. We'll see. I don't know. I know that this is one crazy ass case though. United Airlines Flight 629 bombing, and this dude that did it's an asshole. Just put it that way. At 6:52 p.m. on November 1st, 1955, United Airlines Flight 629, a DC-6B with 44 people on board, took off from Stapleton Airport in Denver, bound for Portland, Oregon.
What's up with this little area over there?
I know. 11 minutes later, the 39 passengers, including an infant and 5 crew members, were dead.
Oh, no.
Killed instantly when the luxurious airliner crashed on a sugar beet farm near Longmont, Colorado.
Wow.
It took 39 minutes from Denver to Longmont? Wait. 11 minutes, my bad. 39 people, including an infant. Plus 5 people.
Wow.
Upon learning of the disaster, an official of the FBI immediately offered the services of the Bureau's Identification Division in identifying the victims of the tragedy.
Ooh, tragedy.
Fingerprints experts were dispatched from Washington, D.C. by plane, arriving at the scene of the crash on November 2nd.
Isn't it ironic?
By plane, yeah.
Jeez. As the bodies were recovered, they were taken to Greeley, Colorado, and placed in a temporary morgue set up in the National Guard Armory. Upon the arrival of the FBI fingerprint experts, they learned that 9 of the bodies had been identified by relatives and friends or by personal effects and had been removed from the armory. So,
okay, so 9.
So 9 of them were gone home. The remaining 35 bodies were fingerprinted, and 21, or 60% of those fingerprinted, were positively identified with fingerprints contained in the vast files of the FBI. Wow.
How was their bodies even left? All of the 21 persons thus identified had been fingerprinted for various reasons during their lifetime. Criminals!
Right.
And their fingerprints filed with more than 109 million other sets in the civil section of the FBI fingerprint file.
Wow.
A husband and wife from Canada were identified with fingerprints taken when they had applied for U.S. naturalization in September of 54, which, I mean, obviously that would be it, right?
Makes sense, right?
I think the crew members, everybody would know who the crew members are anyways. There's like flight logs and stuff.
Right. Well, the crew members were identified with fingerprints forwarded to the FBI by United Airlines. 5 passengers were identified with fingerprints taken during their service in the Air Force, Army, and Navy. 6 had been fingerprinted by reason of employment in defense plants during World War II. 2 had been fingerprinted by the U.S. government employees, so they're U.S. government employees.
Government, huh?
Something's going on here. We got some government, we got some
military,
and some Canadians. And it's never good when you get all 3 of those together. And 1 victim had been fingerprinted in 1941 and had requested that his fingerprints be placed in the FBI files for personal identification. He thought he was going to die.
You never know. I mean, it was 41.
Right. Doing some mafia business there. Or 41 mob, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Among the 14 victims printed and not identified by fingerprints, 2 were men and 12 were women. All of these were subsequently identified by relatives or personal effects.
All right.
Great for them. That was a pointless paragraph.
Pretty much. Oh, no. It's saying how they were identified. While the bodies of the crash victims were thus being identified on November 2nd and 3rd, Agents of the Denver field office of the FBI were maintaining close liaison with personnel of United Airlines and the Civil Aeronautics Board, who were investigating the tragedy.
Okay.
The Civil Aeronautics Board was advised that the full facilities of the FBI laboratory were available if the investigators desired to use them in the initial stages of the probe.
Well, I would hope so.
Obviously, they would be available. No,
Jeez,
can't use ours.
Sorry, folks, not today.
We're the FBI.
Right. At the request of the Civil Aeronautics Board, a laboratory expert was sent to the scene on the 2nd of November. And in conjunction with Civil Aeronautics investigators, he conducted a visual examination and collected pieces of wreckage between the 2nd of November and the 7th. In this manner, it was learned that the tail section of the plane had been cleanly severed from the rest of the plane as though it was cut off with a knife, and had fallen with only minor damage at a point to approximately 1.5 miles from the place where the engines and nose section of the plane had also hit the ground in an almost whole condition. So, it broke off in pieces. And it was like clean.
Well, it was destroyed by a bomb. I don't know how
but it said cleanly severed.
Yeah, I don't know how the tail just is like completely intact, like it was cut. Yeah, because you can see it right there.
Right.
It's literally
weird
in one piece after you even hit the ground. Wreckage from the middle section of the plane was widely scattered over and behind the intervening area between the tail and forward sections. During the period between November 2nd and November 7th, a minute and detailed examination of all the parts of the wreckage was also made by engineers of United Airlines, the Douglas Aircraft Corporation, and other private manufacturing concerns, but no possible cause of an explosion due to malfunction or any part of the plane was located by the examiners. So right now, they don't even know that it's a bomb. They're just, what the hell happened to this damn plane? Wow. Does it just explode in midair?
So I take it the guy that did it wasn't on the plane.
I would hope not, if he's going to blow it up.
7th of November, 1955. The Chief Investigations of the Civil Aeronautics Board officially stated that there were indications of sabotage. At the same time, he asked the FBI to institute an appropriate criminal investigation of the crime, which had taken 44 lives.
44.
An active investigation was undertaken by the FBI on the 8th of November. The necessary agents being assigned to the case on a full-time basis. Oh, look at the FBI.
Good for you, FBI.
Right.
Specific assignments were made for these agents to correlate information from eyewitnesses to the crash and employees handling the plane prior to the crash, to trace all cargo, mail, and baggage baggage on the plane, to initiate and conduct background investigations of all passengers and crew members on the plane.
Right.
And to supervise and conduct searches of the wreckage and recovered baggage or personal effects for possible evidence and investigative leads. Ooh. So, all things you might
want to do to solve the case.
You might think would be done.
Right. Between November 2nd and the 5th, 4 teams of interviewers, each consisting of Civil Aeronautics Board and United Airlines officials or employees, had interviewed approximately 200 individual occupants of a 140 square mile area surrounding the scene of the crash. Information furnished by 37 of these persons was considered of possible value and was reduced to signed statements. What are they going to do? Yeah, I've seen it fall.
I've seen it fall.
Hit the ground.
Well, what happened before? Did you hear a boom? Did you see something explode? What happened there? Right. These statements were made available to the FBI upon initiation of the active investigation. And a complete review disclosed that an initial explosion, had occurred while the plane was operated in an apparently routine manner. Yeah, just flying regular, man.
Right.
The explosion appeared to have been of tremendous force, causing fiery streamers to fall from the plane.
Dang.
A flare, which was normal equipment carried on the plane, had separated from the plane, ignited, and descended slowly to Earth.
Nice.
Wow. A second explosion, probable of one or more fuel tanks, had occurred when the engines and forward compartment of the plane struck the ground.
You know that happened.
Yeah. So I wonder how many passengers where it was. Well, I guess we'll see that if we can get the investigation. How many passengers actually died from the bomb
or from the
crash? Right.
You know the pilots probably died from the crash. An additional witness, a control tower operator at Stapleton Airport, later said that he had observed the flash of light and the flare at exactly 7:03 p.m. on the day of the crash. Civil Aeronautics Board officials placed the location of the explosion at approximately 8 miles east of Longmont, Colorado, and at a calculated altitude of 10,800 feet above sea level, or 5,782 feet above the terrain.
They were only 11 minutes.
A little over a mile.
They weren't even up high as they would go.
All right, they only up a mile, man.
Mm-hmm. In order to properly organize and record the recovery of the wreckage and possible evidence, a surveyor had been hired to plot and mark a baseline to the scene of the crash and in the approximate direction of the line of flight. Perpendicular lines had then been established at intervals of 1,000 feet on the baseline, extending 1,000 feet from the baseline. This divided the entire area into a 1,000. They like 1,000.
Right.
1,000 square foot plats or grids.
Okay.
Or grids. A complete and exhaustive search of the area was then conducted, and as each piece of wreckage or material was recovered and removed, it was marked for identification.
No shit.
And the location in which it was found was measured and recorded in relation to the boundaries of the plat. Obviously.
Right. Come on, guys. Give us something here. All material.
I mean, this is straight from the FBI website, so you know they
right.
much detail as you can.
Right. All material possible connected with the plane was recovered from the platted areas. However,
I would assume, right?
Right. Hunters and other persons continued to report the finding of mail and insulation from the plane.
Yeah, floated out.
Right. 13th of November, 1955. An additional area extending up to 3 miles behind the point where the tail section had fallen was minutely researched. Research was minutely searched by 10 FBI agents and 10 employees of United Airlines. At this very same time, the wreckage which had been previously collected by United Airlines employees was re-examined by agents for any possible parts or remains of a bomb.
So now they're like, yeah, this could be a bomb here.
Right.
All recovered records from the central portion of the plane, as well as all baggage, cargo, and personal effects, was taken to a large warehouse at Stapleton Airport and placed under guard. All mail was turned over to postal inspectors at the time of recovery, but was made available by the inspectors for further examination where desired. At the warehouse, a full-size mock-up of the central section of the plane was made of wood and wire netting, and all parts of the plane were wired to the mock-up in their proper places, as in the assembly of a giant jigsaw puzzle. So, yeah, the bomb exploded in the center of the plane, so, it probably would have just tore it in two.
I would say.
It depends. How big is first of all, how big is a
B-54 or whatever it's called?
DC-6B?
DC-6B. DC-6B aeroplane.
I mean, it's pretty decent size.
Decent size. How many people can fit?
Oh, DCB, 60 to 89 seat domestic variant with 2,400 horsepower, and then there's another one, 42 to 89. So
up to 90.
Right. Up to 90, lowest, well, depends on which version. I'm assuming it was a smaller one, so this was only 40.
Yeah, look at that. Don't look very big at all.
That's
tiny.
No, it's not. I mean, it's still pretty big, though.
Yeah, means, yeah. Upon completion of the mock-up assembly, the chairman of the Structure Investigating Committee of the Civil Aeronautics Board and a Douglas Aircraft Corporation engineer agreed that an explosion did indeed occur at Station 718 in the rear cargo pit.
In the rear, huh? Oh, right, obviously. Right, okay.
Right.
Well, I know a little, I've read about this a little bit already, so it makes sense for where they found it.
Which was designated as cargo pit number 4. This point of explosion was further pinpointed as being most directly across the cargo compartment from the cargo loading door.
Huh.
Had to be somebody, an employee or something. These conclusions were based on the fact that the stringers at this point had failed in outward bending, and pieces of heavy fuselage skin recovered and fitted in the area had been shattered into small, very small pieces.
Well, pieces of material from this area of the plane embedded in shoes contained in luggage and an air freight known to have been carried in cargo pit number 4 further indicated an explosion of tremendous force.
Right.
Well, near Station 718, gray and black soot-like deposits were noted on several of the skin fragments adjacent to and within the roughly circular area. The central portion of the floor beam above the cargo pit contained similar deposits on the aft side. However, none were noted on the forward side. Well, that's weird. It just went one way.
Right.
Exploded out that way, maybe?
Crazy. Yeah. Copies of the waybills for all air freight shipments on the plane were obtained from United Airlines. By checking these waybills against pieces of the shipments recovered, the contents or the portion of the contents of all such shipments were identified. Ain't that some shit? That's nice. Nothing of an explosion or a particularly inflammable nature was determined to have been included.
So it's a stupid word, number one.
Right.
Inflammable and flammable, literally the same thing.
Right. So nothing like that was included on the shipment's plane.
Right. It's like when you go to the post office, it's like, is there anything liquid, fire hazard,
Right.
all that in there? Nope.
It was also learned that upon arrival at Denver, all cargo and freight carried in Pit 4 had been removed to the forward cargo pit. And at the time of the crash, cargo pit number 4 had contained only baggage and cargo-loaded other flights, as well as all cargo and baggage which had originated at Denver.
So anybody that got on at Denver, that's where all their stuff was, pretty much.
And maybe somebody just put it in a bag and send
it in there. And,
right.
Yeah.
Send the Denver. Send
it to Portland.
Send it on this bus.
Plane. But during the terrain and wreckage search, 5 small fragments of sheet metal were found, which could not be in any way identified with parts of the plane or known contents of the cargo.
Really?
The fragments appeared to be badly burned and scarred and to be coated with a gray soot-like deposit, which might normally be associated with residue from an explosion. One side of the one fragments was red in color and bore the blue letters H-O. Ho. So now they're on to something here, huh?
Well, maybe. Although it was not known at this time that these fragments were significant. An extensive effort was made to identify them in the belief that they might have come from a destructive device of some nature.
Huh.
Well, the fragment bearing the letters H-O was eventually identified. Guess what it was? It was a portion of the metal side of a 6-volt battery of the type later determined to have been used as detonating device of the bomb that had brought death to 44 people and their families.
Okay, so they found the detonator there, huh? An examination of fragments and pieces of the wreckage recovered from the crash scene by the FBI laboratory revealed them to possess foreign deposits ranging in color from white to very dark gray. That would explain the soot, right? Mm-hmm. These deposits were found to consist mainly of sodium carbonate, although nitrate and sulfur compounds were present as well.
This guy had to load it on somehow, or somehow he sent luggage or left them at the airport, or I don't know. However you get luggage on an airport in a plane if you're not there.
Couldn't you just put it on the bag, the thing?
Put what?
Couldn't you just put it on the thing that the bags come out on and label it for Denver or Portland or whatever?
Yeah, but don't they go through like a screening thing?
Bags? Not in the 50s.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right, just throw it on the bag thing.
Throw it right there and then whatever. Right.
It's true.
You wouldn't have who the hell's watching? It's 1955.
Right. Barbara, I need more. Okay, I'll tell him. More. FBI laboratory technicians advised that available dynamite consists of nitroglycerin with varying amounts of sodium nitrate, sulfur, and other materials.
There's that other. What is it always?
Right. And others. The only solid residue to be expected from the explosion of available dynamite is a mixture of sodium carbonate, sodium nitrate, and sulfur-bearing compounds, which that's what they found. Right. The initial summary of this information indicating the probable use of dynamite was first furnished to the Denver field office by the FBI laboratory on the 13th of November. So they're getting on this quick.
Yeah, man. FBI doing something for once. As the investigation progressed, efforts were pursued to develop complete background data on each of the 44 individual victims, as well as any possible motive that anyone might have had for commission of homicide against them.
Right.
Oh, so now they're even looking at not only them, but people that might wanted to kill them.
Right.
Similar investigations were initiated on all persons who had originally held reservations for the flight but had canceled them. I mean, obviously, shortly before the flight or failed to report for the flight at any of the stops made earlier.
Oh, okay.
We're covering all bases there.
Right. All officers, right.
No stone left unturned.
No. Look at that. All officers conducting background check investigations of the passengers requested to obtain descriptions of the luggage they carried, as well as probable contents of the luggage, in order that the material recovered could be identified with the individual victims. How are they going to know? The purpose of requesting this information was so that by a process of elimination, the owners of the luggage which was most severely damaged or coated with the foreign residue could be determined.
Right. Obviously, they're like, this one's like way more obliterated than the rest. This one had to have been where the bomb came from, right?
Right.
A considerable quantity of personal effects of passenger victim Daisie E. King was recovered from the wreckage and closely examined by the agents. This material included a number of personal letters, newspaper clippings about her family that survived, a personalized checkbook, $1,000 in traveler's checks, an address list, and 2 keys and a receipt for safety deposit boxes rented by Mrs. King. These articles revealed considerable information about the background of her, And one of the newspaper clippings reflected that her son, Jack Gilbert Graham, had been charged with forgery by the Denver County District Attorney and had been placed on the local most wanted list by that office in 1951.
Really?
Oh,
What a quinky-dink there.
Huh?
Quinky-dink there. Well, from the fact of the most of these personal effects of Mrs. King were found on her rear. These items were found on or near her body. It was apparent that she had been carrying them in her personal handbags at the time of the crash.
You think?
Despite careful searching, practically none of the contents of Mrs. King's luggage was recovered, and only small bits of the suitcases believed to belong to her were found.
Oh. Immediate effort to determine the identity of passengers on which large amounts of trip insurance had been obtained revealed that 6 passengers had a maximum of $62,500 of such insurance. 4 had $50,000, 2 had $37,500, 1 had $35,000, 2 had $12,500, and 2 had $6,250.
Wait, you can get trip insurance?
I don't know if you can now, but back then apparently. Because of a holiday weekend, however, a complete check of all companies writing such insurance was not possible at once, and among policies located later were 3 on the life of Daisie King. Oh, 3 for her. What the hell she need 3 of them for?
Dang, Daisie, with a name like Daisie E. King.
Daisy, and it's not even a Y at the end.
No,
I-E.
she's high maintenance. During a thorough search of the home of Jack Gilbert Graham on the 13th of November.
It was the same day that they concluded that, holy crap.
They're doing a lot of stuff. Search of the home, Jack Gilbert Graham. A duplicate travel insurance policy on the life of his mother, Mrs. King, in the amount of $37,500 was found hidden in a small cedar chest in a bedroom of the Graham home. The original of this policy, which designated beneficiary as Jack G. Graham, which would be this guy, was later located and made available by the insurance company, as well as 2 additional policies, each of them out $6,250, on the life of Mrs. King, with designated beneficiaries being her daughter and her one living sister.
Oh, I bet she's the one that took out the $6,200.
Right.
Damn, ain't that something? She didn't even take out one for her son. She don't like him.
No, something's going on there.
During the investigation into the background of the passengers boarding the plane at Denver, particular emphasis was placed upon the background of Mrs. King and her relatives, obviously. You see that he just raided his house.
Right.
It was learned that upon the death of his mother, Jack Graham was to receive a substantial inheritance. It also became known that Mrs. King and Jack had frequently quarreled over insignificant differences. During his early life, Jack had lived with relatives on several occasions, and he had actually left home, quote unquote, when he was approximately 16 years old.
Another person interviewed, one who had business associations with Mrs. King and her son through their operation of a drive-in restaurant in Denver, volunteered for information that Mrs. King continually had trouble with Jack over operation of the restaurant, that in fact they fought like cats and dogs.
Oh, those cats and dogs always fighting.
Right. That the restaurant building had been damaged by an explosion at one time, too.
Geez.
Oh, wow. Jack Graham may have been taking money from the receipts of the business. Graham had once told him that he performed demolition work in the United States Navy, and that Graham had recently purchased a new truck and wrecked it in a possible attempt to collect insurance.
Man, this is shady.
Yeah.
It's only 1955. Expect something like that nowadays. Another individual expressed essentially the same suspicions about the past activities of Jackie Boy.
Oh, Jackie Graham.
This person further advised that the wrecking of Graham's truck was due to it being stalled on a railroad track where it was hit by a train sometimes in 1955. Sometimes.
It happens sometimes.
Sometimes,
1955.
Wanders out there on the track.
Sometime in 1955.
Damn trucks just wandering out on tracks and staying.
He also advised that a local supply concern held a $1,000 note signed by Graham and secured by equipment of the drive-in restaurant.
The extensive records of the Denver County Probation Department relative to Jack Gilbert Graham were thoroughly reviewed on the 10th of November. No, so they had 3 days before they...
Yeah, I guess so.
These records revealed that Graham had been employed as a payroll clerk at a manufacturing concern
What the hell is a concern?
in Denver in March 1951. I'm guessing like a
business.
like a hardware store or something.
I guess.
Or a warehouse, a manufacturing concern. At which time he had stolen a number of blank checks and used the company check protector in filling out some protector. Is it a protector?
Protector, yeah.
Protector? Yeah. Little puncher thing.
Sure.
Yeah, and used the company check protector in filling out some 42 of them for $100 each. That's it. Come on, guy. It's only $4,200.
$4,200. A lot in 1955.
Right. After which he had forged the name of the company owner and cashed the checks at various businesses in Denver.
Oh, look at them. He had received approximately $4,200 in cash, obviously, and immediately spent approximately $2,000 for a late model convertible automobile in which he left Denver. What kind of automobile did you buy there, bud?
Right.
The whereabouts of Graham were unknown until his arrest on September 11th,
Oh, no.
1951, at Lubbock, Texas, on a charge of hauling whiskey in violation of Texas laws.
Can't haul whiskey without a permit?
I guess not. He had served a sentence of 60 days in the county jail after conviction and had been released to the Denver County District Attorney's Office to face charges of forgery in connection with his check passing activities.
Oh, jeez.
According to the records, the arrest of Graham had been effected only after he had run a roadblock man by local officers and shots had been fired into his car by them. At the time he was found, he was also had a gun in his car.
Oh,
Jeez,
no.
Guys, come on.
Today's world, he would have been shot dead.
Why is he running a roadblock anyways?
Right.
It's not like they were...
This guy's just a moron.
I guess he had alcohol in the car, so...
All right. And he probably was...
Wanted, maybe?
He was probably paranoid about the checks, too.
Right.
Graham had been convicted of the forgery charge in state district court in November, Colorado. In the state district court in Denver on the 3rd of November. But the sentence was suspended, and he had been placed on probation for a period of 5 years. The records reflected that cash restitution in the amount of $2,500 had been made at the time of the trial, and that under the terms of probation granted, Graham was to make further restitution in an amount of $1,805.34 at the rate of $40 per month.
$40 per month? Pretty expensive in 1951.
Right.
Graham had regularly made these payments between January 2nd, 1952 and November 3rd, 1955.
Nice.
Reducing the outstanding balance to, damn, it took him 3 years?
Yeah, $40 a month.
I guess. Reducing the outstanding balance to $105.
And then he's like, I'm done.
Pretty much. These records revealed, wasn't November 3rd, the day the crash happened.
Right.
So these records revealed that Jack Graham had served in the U.S. Coast Guard from April 48 to January 49, and that he received an honorable discharge on the basis of minority. However, a notion made on the records reflected that he had been AWOL for a period of 63 days during his service.
Oh, no.
He was last stationed at the Coast Guard installation at Groton, Connecticut, holding the rank of motorman, third class at the time of
Motorman.
Third class I am. At the time of his discharge, Graham had completed the 9th grade in public schools, but he was later granted a high school diploma upon his passing of entrance examinations at Denver University.
Got a GED, huh?
And was admitted as a student there. And then went to college, too.
Nice. Good for him. The probation reports reflected that Graham did not realize the seriousness of the offense at the time of his arrest on the forgery charges. He was like, it can't be that bad. Right.
Who would have thought forging money and taking it illegally would be that bad, right?
The probation reports also reflected that his mother had been overprotective of her son, and that Graham had a rather wild life and had spent most of his money, which he made from his crime, on drinking parties and women.
Drinking parties, all right.
He's like, I know how to spend this money, which a crime I committed.
Let's have drinking parties and just get women there.
Drinking parties, huh? That's what they called parties with beer back then?
Yeah.
Drinking parties.
We have a drinking party.
What kind of party you having? Drinking.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
What kind of party you having? Lunch.
A lunch party. A dinner party, maybe, yeah.
Barbecue. We're having a grill party.
Grill party. Oh, they call them grills.
Get the Weber out. Is it a Weber or Weber?
Weber.
Parties with women. Graham had regularly reported to the probation department on a monthly basis. However, and had held regular employment as a heavy-duty equipment mechanic the majority of the time between January 53 and December of 54.
Good for him.
Later, he had moved to Denver, where during every part of 1955, every part, including the early part of 1955, he was employed by his mother as manager of a drive-in restaurant, which we already knew that.
Go back to the drive-in here. Jack Graham was initially interviewed on November 10th, 1955, in the company of his half-sister. During this initial interview, Graham furnished the following background information regarding himself and his family. He stated he was born on January 23rd, 1932 in Denver, Colorado.
Hey.
That his father was William Graham,
Nice.
Billy Graham, isn't that a Reverend, who died when he was approximately 3 years of age, and that his natural mother was Daisie E. King.
Dang.
Natural mother, huh? Does he have an unnatural mother?
Right. Was his dad married to somebody else?
Could have been. He stated that Miss King married John Earl King in 1941, and from that time until 48, they resided on a ranch near Topanaz, Colorado.
Topanaz. Right?
Most of the ranch was sold in 1948. His mother and stepfather maintained in residence in Yampa, Colorado. All
Damn,
right.
Yampa Bay.
Yampa Bay. From that time until the death of John Earl King on October 16, 1954. Following the death of Earl King from a heart disease, Daisie and her daughter went to Goodland, Florida, where Mrs. King owned and maintained a house on Marco Island.
Okay.
She had some money then, huh?
Dang, yeah.
There, Mrs. King remained until February of 1955 when she returned to Denver to assist Mrs. Jack Graham, who had just given birth to her second baby. Shouldn't have came back. Daisie.
Yeah, there's no
Stayed there on
Right.
Marco Island.
there's no reason for it. According to
It was already the second baby. Like the mom needs help any damn day.
Right.
Tell out here.
all the way from Florida.
Right.
No, you don't have to come here for all the way from. Trust me. I already bought the tickets, honey.
Already coming.
You're gonna need the help. Is Jackie doing good still? What's he doing?
Are you cooking for him?
You cooking for Jackie? Got to keep him happy, Fran. Is that her name? Fran Graham.
Fran Graham.
According to Fran Graham, according to Graham,
Her name is Telly.
Telegram. Tilly. All right. Here. According to Graham, following Mrs. King's return to Denver, she resided at his home,
I would assume so.
which his home was on 2650 West Mississippi Avenue, except for the periods of time which she spent in Steamboat Springs and Yampa, supervising business interests and occasional trips out of the state. Dang, she was just all over the place.
I know, man. Just a traveler.
Jeez. He said that his mother had purchased the residence at 2650 West Mississippi Avenue for him in December of 1954,
Jeez.
and had considered this residence her home. This is my home.
Right. She came in there like, I bought it.
All right, own this shit. Graham stated that in the spring of 1955, his mother had purchased property, built, equipped, and opened a drive-in restaurant at 581 South Federal Boulevard in Denver, which, guess what? Oh, Jackie boy got to manage.
Mama, let me manage it. Well, he said that the drive-in business at Denver was not a financial success. I mean, it is only 1955. People are still getting used to that kind of stuff. Although he indicated it was successful when he was able to actually operate the business.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense. But
Maybe when she's gone or something.
I guess Graham volunteered that Graham said that during May 1955, some unknown vandals had caused considerable damage to the window glass at the drive-in, and that
makes sense.
in September 1955,
Little hooligan teenagers running around 1955, right? Little greaseheads, little greasers.
September of 55, an explosion and fire had occurred at the drive-in during the early morning hours.
Or he wouldn't do the 10% to the old to the mob or something. I don't think there was a mob in Denver in 1955.
Could have been.
Maybe. According to Graham, there's a lot of paragraphs that start according to Graham. According to Graham, the examination of the drive-in had revealed that someone had disconnected a gas line connection, allowing the gas to flow into the room, accumulated until it reached to a pilot light on a water heater, igniting the gas and causing the explosion.
Come on, Jackie, we all know it was you.
Right. According to Graham, $3 in small change was missing. Well, it's right about $3 in pennies.
$3.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, anything else? Well, there's a couple dimes in there too. I think.
Right. Yeah. So $3 in small change was missing from the cash register, and some of the furniture of the drive-in had been maliciously been broken. Total damage had amounted approximately of $1,200. That's it. An explosion only cost $1,200.
Do you forget that this is 1955?
Yeah, but still an explosion.
1955.
Still, you
it wasn't that.
You couldn't buy a house for $5,000.
Of course you could.
Maybe. Yeah, probably.
Back then, cars were only like $800 for brand new. Sounds all pretty fishy. Lines connected, furniture maliciously broken. I mean, come on, dude.
Right.
You're a shady guy already there,
Right.
Grammy.
Well, Graham also said that he had suffered from misfortune in connection with a new 1955 Chevrolet pickup. I just bought that sumbitch. Said it installed right on a railroad track. I had to jump out for the train, hit it. Sploosh. There goes my brand new 1955 Chevrolet pickup.
1955 Chevrolet pickup. Nice. At this interview, Graham gave information about the activities of his mother, Mrs. Daisie E. King, on November 1st, 1955, as well as her intended plans in connection with her trip to Alaska.
Oh, jeez.
What the hell? Wow. She's like, I'm going to visit all 4 corners of the globe. He furnished a... Why do they keep saying that? He gave a description of Mrs. King's luggage, including that which she had shipped on her airline ticket and that which she had carried with her on the plane. He claimed virtually no knowledge of the contents of his mother's luggage, saying that his mother would never allow anyone to actually assist her in packing,
right,
and that he had not helped his mother with any of her packing or place anything in her luggage. Did they ask you that? They're like, I didn't ask you if you put anything in her luggage.
Right. So just make sure, man. Just letting you guys know. He stated that Miss King had considerable quantity of shotgun shells and rifle ammunition with her, intended for use in hunting caribou in Alaska. Dang, now she's a big game hunter?
Oh, well, I think he's saying that to say, like, those could have exploded or something, and come on. Trying to cover his tracks a little bit there.
I don't know about that.
You're allowed to travel on a damn plane with ammo?
You might be able to. November 11th, 1955. Mrs. Gloria A. Graham, wife of Jack. There's Gloria. Advised that she had married Jack Graham in 1953 and resided with him since that very time.
I would hope so.
Yeah, we got married and he went this way. I went down the road.
Both bought separate houses.
All right. Ridiculous. They had 2 children, approximately 20 and 9 months old, approximately. You don't know how old.
She's like, yeah, I think someone's around 20 months. Maybe 9 months by now.
The other one's 20. Mrs. Graham advised that Daisie King had resided with them at 2650 West Mississippi Avenue periodically from December 1954 until her death. Mrs. King traveled a great deal and had spent, we already know this,
which we've established already,
and spent a considerable part of summer of 1955 supervising her business at Steamboat Springs.
Okay, so she's saying the same thing there, huh? Miss Graham
checks out.
Right, Miss Graham furnished information concerning the activities of Daisie prior to and including November 1st, 1955. She gave a description of the luggage taken by Miss King on her intended trip to Alaska, but she was unable to furnish any definite information about the context of the luggage.
Just like old Jackie say.
Why would she? She explained that Mrs. King was very particular about packing her bags or suitcases and did not allow anyone to actually assist in her packing.
I mean, I wouldn't let anybody help me pack.
Right, like, why do I need you to help me pack my underwear?
Then I have to take everything out and repack it. Jeez. Mrs. Graham said that her husband had given Mrs. King a present on the 1st of November, 1955, before Mrs. King left for the airport. Mrs. Graham believed the present consisted of a small set of tools such as drills, files, and cutting tools used for forming seashells into art objects, which sounds like this lady does all kinds of stuff. She probably does freaking crafting too. According to Mrs. Graham, her husband Jack had talked to her earlier about obtaining such a tool set as a Christmas present for his mommy. He's like, what do you think about this little tool set here from Mama? I think she'll love it, Jackie.
I think she will love it, Jackie. And his wife had no knowledge as to the details of the purchase of this Christmas present, however. She recalled that during the day of November 1st, 1955, Jack had brought a package into the house and carried it to the basement where Mrs. King was packing her luggage.
Okay.
She recalled that this package was wrapped as a gift and was approximately 18 inches in length. She just knows. 18 inches in length and 14 inches in width and 3 inches in depth. Jeez,
that's a nice present.
She's a pretty good sight measurer, by the way. She thought the package contained the tool set, but she did not know whether Jack had actually given it to his mother. She assumed that he had. Why would you not assume that, right?
Right. And it's kind of weird. Further interviews, November 11th and 12th, with relatives and associates of Daisie E. King and Jack Graham failed to develop any added information, except on November 11th by a neighbor of one of Jack Graham's relatives. They're like, we didn't get nothing from our relatives, but this neighbor guy, I think he has something.
This neighbor of Jack Graham's relative, too, so it's not even like near him.
Right. Just hearing people talk, or whatever, word gets around. Well, this neighbor advised that she had heard that prior to Daisie King's intended trip to Alaska, Graham was extremely interested in purchasing a toolkit, which he intended to give his mother as a Christmas present.
So he's probably at this point
toolkit.
He's probably at this point going around and making sure that he tells as many people as he can that he wants to purchase a toolkit for her.
All I know, he's wanted to give his poor mama. He loved his mama.
He loved his mama. She was going away. Right.
It was her understanding that Graham had searched the town of Denver and finally obtained the type of toolkit he wanted.
Well, he obtained the type of toolkit. She also heard that Graham had gift wrapped the gift in Christmas paper and had placed it in his mother's luggage before she boarded the plane.
Why would he not gift wrap it in Christmas paper? It's a freaking Christmas present.
Right. This neighbor had also heard that shortly after Daisie King left Denver aboard the plane, Jack Graham became very ill and his face turned very white.
Oh, no.
She said Graham and his wife Gloria had apparently heard someone make a statement to the effect that an airplane had crashed.
Oh, no.
This neighbor stated that she had heard Graham upon hearing this statement responded, "That is it." It's a little strange when you hear that is it, unless, I mean, the shock, that's it. That's the one my mom was on.
All right.
You know?
That's it. That's the plane.
Right.
According to this neighbor, since the crash, Jack Graham had not eaten, nor he had been able to sleep. He had spent most of his time walking up and down both sides of both inside and outside of his home.
Yeah.
Inasmuch as a description of luggage taken by Daisie King on her trip had been obtained, several broken and torn fragments of luggage were brought to the Denver FBI office November 12th, 1955. This luggage generally matched the description Daisie King. Like this kind of looks like hers. Let's check it out.
That's her name right there on this tag. Well, look at that. On November 12th, 1955, Jack Graham and his wife, Gloria, were contacted by telephone and told of the FBI's possession of these
telegram?
fragments.
Damn. I wish it was a telegram.
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 Mail, motherfucker.
It's telegram.
Or what was it?
They're going to telegram.
Right. Telegram. Right. What was the one on Don't Be a Menace? While drinking your gin and juice in the hood?
Mail.
That's what it is? Just
Mail.
Right. Mail. Go ahead.
Yeah, contacted them by telephone and told them of the FBI's possession of the fragments of luggage and were requested at their convenience to come to the FBI office in an attempt to identify any of the fragments as being portions of the luggage that was taken by Daisie on her intended flight to Alaska.
Okay, whatever. Whatever.
That sinister
Who's that
looking
guy?
Already. You can
Is that
tell
Frankie?
You can tell he's a...
Is that
Jack.
Franklin?
Jack. You can tell he's a...
Jack Graham?
He's a weirdo.
Yeah, he is. Okay. Graham and his wife voluntarily appeared at the Denver FBI office on the very next day, and the fragments of luggage were exhibited to them.
What if they didn't show up for like 2 weeks afterwards? But you said at our convenience.
Right. They identified some pieces of a dark brown suitcase as being the smaller suitcase taken on a trip by his mother. They believed that a piece of red and black plaid canvas bag was possibly a portion of one of the canvas bags which she had taken with her. That kind of looks like it. At the conclusion of their identification of these pieces of luggage, Graham was advised that the FBI desired to interview him further concerning several aspects of this very case. Mrs. Graham was told that if she desired, she could return home to her small children. And she said, I will do that.
I will do that. Yeah, so they're like, Grammy boy, you're going to have to sit here. Wife, you can go home.
Right.
She's like, you're damn straight I am.
She's like, Jack, you better not mess up, Jack.
Right.
Better not
I will
mess up.
leave your ass in jail, Jackie.
Better not mess up, Jack.
Well, Graham was questioned specifically regarding the reported ammunition and Christmas gift which his mother took with her trip. On her trip, the information Graham furnished concerning the ammunition was substantially the same as he had previously provided, which he said she took to go hunting up in Alaska.
All right.
The information about the Christmas present was not in accord with the information his wife had furnished. Oh no. Graham stated he had intended to purchase a tool set for his mother. However, upon learning that the type he had intended to buy was not suitable for the purpose for which it was to be used, he had never bought it.
Oh.
So now he's saying he never bought the present, but his wife is saying he saw him come in with the wrapped gift. Okay, why?
Senior Duck and the neighbor of a relative.
Well, the neighbor just said that he said that he was going to buy it, but never saw the package. But his wife actually saw the package.
No, the neighbor said it was wrapped in Christmas present, or she heard it was wrapped in.
Heard it was, right. She never saw it.
Right.
Why would you not ask the wife what she told him anyways?
Right.
This guy's not very smart.
Well, in explanation to his wife's statements, Graham said it was possible that his wife was under the impression that he had actually purchased the tools.
She said she saw you.
Right.
With the gift.
Right.
She gave measurements.
Graham was then questioned in detail as to his activities upon his arrival at the Denver Municipal Airport on the 1st of November, 1955. And he furnished substantially the same information as before. Wow. It's hard to keep this. It's hard to keep alive the same story. You know what I mean?
I mean, not a simple one like that. Hey, I went to go tell her goodbye.
Right. He could offer no explanation as to why he had mailed to himself a trip insurance policy taken out by his mother at the airport, making him the beneficiary. other than the fact that he had mailed 2 similar policies, of which his sister and aunt were the beneficiaries.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Either.
They don't know. Well, why do you got 37 and they only got 62?
Right. And why would he mail theirs to him?
Right.
Well, he said that he believed that he put these insurance policies in a trash can at the airport.
What?
What is up with in as much?
Why would he put these insurance policies in a trash can at the airport?
Well, supposedly, yeah, he believed he put them in the trash can at the airport because he had not received the policy, which he had mailed to himself yet. He volunteered that upon his mother's leaving on the plane, he and his wife and son had entered the airport coffee shop to have dinner. According to Graham, after they started to eat, he became ill and went to the men's restroom for a short period. He believed his illness was due to his excitement about his mother's leaving, and further, he said the food at the coffee shop was poor. Why would he be excited about his mom leaving? I don't know.
I think he's regretting what he's doing. He's about to blow up a whole freaking plane.
He just became ill because it was only 11 minutes after they took off, so he probably knew that they already exploded.
And he's just,
He just got ill, and he's like, oh, man, what did I do?
As the statements of Graham at this time were not entirely in accord with those of his wife, agents of the FBI were sent to Graham residence to interview Mrs. Graham and then to obtain a signed statement about the part of her story which was in conflict of her husband's.
So, ma'am, you're sure that you saw a gift approximately 18 inches wide and all that, She saw the damn thing.
Right. While the discrepancies were present, Graham was at this time told that he was being considered by the FBI as a suspect. Instantly.
Oh, now he's getting more.
At least they told him.
Now he's getting more pale in the face.
Like, well, you're a little.
I don't think they let him go.
He was told that he did not have to make any statement, and that any statement which he did make could be used against him in a court of law. We all know that. He was advised of his right to consult an attorney at any time.
Well, he stated that he had no objection to signing a statement indicating he would voluntarily submit to a polygraph examination and further would sign any statements given his consent to search any or all of his home, automobiles, and property.
You know why? Polygraphs were never admissible in court, so doesn't matter
I think
anyway.
back then they were still. Or they were considered at least. But yeah, he's going to give him consent to search his home, automobiles, and property.
Right.
He subsequently read and signed such statements.
Okay, so he's feeling confident.
He's feeling pretty confident. Nothing's going to come back to him.
Pretty confident. His old lady's second guessing him.
He disposed of all the bomb-making equipments, he hoped, so.
FBI agents were sent to make a search of Graham's home, automobiles, and properties, is what we just said. During the search of Graham's home, a small roll of copper wire with yellow insulation was located in a short pocket of some sort of clothing belonging to Graham in a shirt pocket. So he had a small roll. So it was a very tiny roll. He could have been fixing a radio or something. This wire appeared to be the type used in detonating primer caps. Oh, no.
Yeah, okay.
Also located. Why would he leave that in his shirt?
This dude's an idiot.
Obviously not, because he had everything else.
This dude's an idiot.
Looking like
Clearly.
it. Wow.
They all are.
Also located was a trip insurance policy of Daisie E. King, dated 1st November 1955, on which Jack Graham was the beneficiary.
Already told the FBI agents that he thought he threw him in the trash.
Oh, no, you're right. The policy was found hidden in a small cedar chest and on one of the bedrooms of Graham's home. Oh, no.
Jeez. Why would you do it in a chest? That's the first place they're going to look.
Why would he kill his mother?
Well, yeah, we'll answer that question. But why would you hide something in a chest?
Right.
Anybody knows you search the chest first.
Right.
Subsequently, during the interview with Graham, he was questioned primarily concerning the discrepancies in his statements and those of his wife and other persons interviewed. Agents were immediately sent to check the validity of Graham's additional statements. Upon their return, Graham was confronted with their findings, and on several matters, he was unable to explain the results of the agent's investigation.
I mean, how can you explain it? The dude never thought of a backup plan. So when they busted him, he was just like, "Damn,
I guess
these guys got me." Oh shit!
What an idiot!
I thought it was going to work out better than this. It didn't.
Well, at this time, he was also informed of the findings of the FBI laboratory and their examination of fragments and pieces of wreckage recovered from the crash.
Okay, so they really don't have nothing yet.
Oh, jeez.
He had nothing yet.
Well, now they do.
Oh, no.
He just breaks it. He just breaks down.
Graham then admitted causing the explosion, which had occurred at the Dairy Drive-In.
Okay, never mind. I thought we were going in a different direction.
They thought they had him somewhere else.
He was like, I did it.
You got me. I burned my old place down to collect insurance.
This is what he is. I did it.
Right.
I caused the explosion.
I left my beautiful...
They're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
At the Dairy Drive-In.
He's like, you're right. I caused that explosion. I'm so mad at myself. That Dairy Drive-In didn't deserve it.
Right, and they're like, what?
And he goes, also my 1955 Chevrolet that I left on a railroad track. Well,
Purposely.
did it on purpose.
Oh, jeez.
Then he finally admitted his guilt in the plane crash and described the device he had assembled and used to perpetrate the crime. Oh, no. He said that he used a time bomb composed of 25 sticks of dynamite, 2 electric primer caps, and a timer, and a 6-volt battery.
Which they found the label from.
Right. A signed statement was obtained from him concerning these admissions, and on 14th of November 1955, a complaint was filed before the United States Commissioner of Denver by a special agent of the FBI, charging Jack Gilbert Graham with sabotage.
Sabotage.
Wow.
This guy, dude.
Is that worse?
He buckled.
Is that worse than murder?
Sabotage of a plane, I would say so, yeah. But, well, he's getting charged with sabotage and probably later to be the murders, I would assume.
Right.
This guy buckled quickly, though.
All right.
They probably told him all the laboratory findings and all that, and he's like, I have nothing else I can say about it.
I didn't think you guys would know.
Right. I thought I'd have a little bit more time than this.
Figured you just pick up all the scrap metal and throw it in a pile.
I didn't think there'd be any investigation at all.
You dummy.
You idiot.
Oh, jeez.
Graham thereafter appeared before the United States Commissioner, where he was advised of the charges against him and afforded an opportunity to make bond, which was recommended by the United States Attorney at $100,000. So 10% of that, only $10,000.
He made bond.
Jeez. He was committed to the custody of the United States Marshal in lieu of bond.
Okay.
On November 17, 1955, Graham was charged with murder in the state court at Denver, Colorado, and was held without bail for future hearings.
Nice.
He was charged with the murder of his mother, Miss Daisy E. King, at age 54.
She just want to see the wild.
Mm-hmm. Well, she already did, though. Just wanted to see a little bit more of it.
Well, subsequent to the arrest of Graham, investigation was instituted to locate the source of items used by him in the making of the time bomb. This investigation resulted in locating on November 17th.
Dude, this is quick. This is 2 weeks after.
Right. They located a supply company in Denver where Graham was identified as having purchased on the 26th of October a 60-minute on-type timing device, which he exchanged a few days later for a 60-minute off-type timing device, which I have no idea what either of those are.
Why are people selling timing devices anyways?
Right. What's an on-type or an off-type?
I have no idea. I don't know. I can't find nothing on it. It's got to do with watches and timing, though, obviously.
All right. Okay. Whatever.
On-type, off-type? I don't know. Maybe on-type, you have to do it manually?
Maybe.
Off-type, maybe you can do it
You can set
off
it.
type, right?
You can set it and leave it.
Well, November 19, 1955, a store manager at Kremlin, Colorado, recalled selling 20 or 25 sticks of dynamite. Where did you just buy dynamite from?
Well, in Colorado, you're probably...
Miners or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
whatever.
And 2 electric blasting caps to an individual during October of 1955. This store manager believed that Graham was identical with the individual to whom he had sold it to and the caps. On November 21st, 1955, the manager identified Graham from a lineup as being identical with the individual who purchased the dynamite and blasting caps from him during October.
I mean, come on.
So
You're going to remember somebody coming in and buying 25 sticks of dynamite. Dynamite.
You would think so. I don't know, though.
Right.
Who the hell just sells dynamite?
Well, back then, I guess. Of considerable interest in the investigation of this case was a story of Jack Graham's background as related by his half-sister.
This half-sister hates him too, dude.
She stated that she had never at any time in recent years felt at ease with Graham.
Oh, yep. See?
He was sullen. She knew him to have pent-up violence. Mm-hmm. She simply did not like to be around him.
Yeah.
She said that in the past he had related things which he thought funny, but which she considered violent and warped.
Oh, dark comedy, huh?
For example, when he was residing with her and her husband in Alaska, he had been employed as a dragline operator for the CAA, and on one occasion, he had told them that he had experienced some difficulty in loosening a bolt from some equipment, so he obtained some dynamite and blew off the bolt.
Why is that?
How's that violent and warped?
Right, I mean,
he couldn't get it off, so he
couldn't get it off. So he's like, I'm gonna destroy the whole fucking thing.
Got you up down, didn't I?
He finds the wreckage and the bolt still fastened in that spot, dude.
I don't know about violent. I guess
that is pretty violent, but it's a joke. As a further example, she recalled that since the United Airlines plane crash, he had stated to her and his wife, Gloria, as if it were a joke. Can't you just see those shotgun shells going off in the plane every which way and the pilots, passengers, and grandma jumping around?
Oh, no.
Oh, geez, what a sick
Yeah,
bastard.
that is sick.
His sister stated she had for many years thought Graham was not mentally sound. She had expressed this opinion to both her husband and another relative of Graham's. She recalled that on at least 2 occasions in the past, she had been the object of her brother's violent temper. On one occasion, he had knocked her down and kneed her in the chest so severely that her ribs were injured.
Dang.
Maybe this guy is a psycho.
Dang.
I mean, obviously he is.
On another account, he had threatened to hit her with a hammer.
Jeez.
Oh, no. And she had escaped by locking herself in a room. She recalled that during the summer of 1955, Graham awoke from sleeping and found his wife gone. He located his wife playing cards with his sister and his mother, and for no apparent reason, became enraged and cuffed and backhanded his wife several times. Dang. During this occurrence, Daisie King had become extremely frightened, apparently afraid he might hit her herself. Dang, this
dude's like,
wait a minute.
How dare you play cards while I'm sleeping?
Why did it take so long to get out?
I was going to say, why didn't the wife? I was going to say, the wife never testified about him being a dick like that either?
He never went to jail or anything? What
Jeez.
the? Domestic violence and all that good stuff?
Handcuffing her and smacking the shit out of
I
her.
guess back then, 1955, I don't think
guess.
nobody went to jail for domestic violence.
Well, after 2 continuances, Graham was arraigned in Denver District Court on December 9th, 1955. Immediately after his arrest, he had transferred most of his property to his wife, declared himself unable to pay for counsel, and accepted the services of 3 prominent Denver attorneys appointed by the court.
Okay.
Prominent ones? They usually don't do prominent attorneys.
No. Wow. The state of Colorado charged Graham with murder of his mother.
What about the other 40?
His pleas were innocent, and innocent by reason of insanity before, during, and after the alleged commission of the crime. So
Well, his sister kind of confirmed it for him, right?
Right. The court accepted only the pleas of innocent and innocent by reason of insanity.
At the time.
At the time, not before.
Not before or after.
Whatever. They can get him so premeditated, right?
Exactly. They can say he planned it out.
And then turn crazy by planning it out.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, he was ordered to Colorado Psychopathic Hospital for examination by 2 defense and 2 court-appointed psychiatrists. During the course of an interview with one of the doctors, he made a claim concerning his confession of the crime. He says that while being interviewed by the Denver FBI agents, he had noticed on the wall of the FBI office a photograph picturing the apprehension of Nazi saboteurs who had landed on the Florida coast during World War II. He said he had noticed that in the picture, agents digging up a cache of explosives, and this picture had given him the idea of confessing that he had used dynamite to blow up the United Airlines plane.
What?
Now, okay, so let's go back in that office where he was interviewed and see if that picture's there.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter anyway because Graham was found legally sane by all 4 psychiatrists and returned to Denver County Jail. He was a model prisoner. His days in jail were spent quietly reading and chatting with the guards. After dinner on the evening of the 10th of February 1956, about 5:30 p.m., a deputy sheriff was attracted to Graham's cell by the sound of heavy breathing. The prisoner was slumped on the floor.
His socks were twisted tightly around his neck, with a piece of rolled cardboard used to get added leverage. Oh, dang. Quickly, the guard loosened the garret. A doctor was summoned immediately, and sedatives were administered. Graham was placed in a straitjacket. So he wasn't even dead.
No.
He was placed in a straitjacket to subdue him through the night.
Right, again, through this panic attack.
Right. The following day, he was again returned to the psychiatric ward in the Colorado General Hospital, where he was strapped to bed with 4 guards posted nearby.
Okay, so he had to figure out a way to make him believe he was, I think.
I mean, I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking.
Or either that, or he knows he's just going to die in prison, so he decided to kill himself anyways.
Not even that. You make it seem like he's crazy. He can die in a crazy home.
I guess. Not be locked up in bars.
All right, but be medicated.
Medicated and around a bunch of legit crazies.
All right, no more chances were going to be taken with him now. Graham was under 24-hour surveillance by watchful attendants. The psychiatrist again began to talk with him. He was quite communicative and talked freely about himself.
He said his confession of the murder of the people on the plane was quite true this time, he says. He said that after he had decided definitely to murder his mother, he had bought a timer and some dynamite and fashioned a homemade bomb. He had assembled the bomb, and while his mother was busy with last-minute details of her trip, he had slipped it into her old battered suitcase and fastened the suitcase with some extra webbing for security. So, yeah, this guy, he might be crazy. I didn't do it. I saw a picture. Yeah, he thought it was a good defense. I saw the picture and decided to confess. Like, why would you do that?
He said they then left for the airport. His wife and children had gone along to see his grandmother off. Graham had dropped his mother and family off at the door to the terminal before taking the car to the parking lot. Before removing the suitcase from the car, he had set the timer on the bomb.
He was like, you go ahead, I'll get your stuff. All right.
He had next taken his mother's luggage to the weighing counter for weighing before it was placed on the plane. Wow.
Well, the doctors, curious as to his feelings about the crime, were told by him that he realized that there were about 50 or 60 people carried on board, but the number of people to be killed made no difference to me. It could have been 1,000, he says.
Oh, wow.
When their time comes, there's nothing they can do about it.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez, man. Graham said it was a great relief to tell the doctor about it because he had been quite conscience-stricken.
Right. Now somebody knows.
Now somebody knows his real plans.
You don't have to hide it anymore.
Now, it's a weight off my chest. Mm-hmm. The dude didn't even care about the other. Dude, you could have just hit your mom in the head with a hammer and been done with it. You got to involve 43 other people?
Right, for no reason.
Jeez.
And possible whatever
on the ground
landed on.
Right.
24th February, 1956. Graham dropped the insanity plea and was returned again to Denver County Jail. The judge set April 16th for his trial. The Colorado Supreme Court in December of 1955 had imposed a ban on any photography in Colorado state courts. Oh, no photographs, huh? In accordance with Canon 35 of the American Bar Association. They said we can't do it. That's
right.
Canon 35 American Bar Association.
It's in there.
Right. Following public hearings, the Supreme Court reversed this decision.
The Supreme Court's like, yeah, we're going to document all of this.
We got to, guys.
Everybody needs to know what sick kind of individual this guy was, apparently, right?
Mm-hmm. Now the judge is like, you know what I got to deal with? Do you know what I got to deal with?
The judge now had a prerogative in the matter of the news media. The judge, who later presided at the trial of Graham, ruled against live television coverage, but in favor of sound on film, press photography, and radio broadcasts. Graham, through his attorneys, requested that the television cameras be banned from his trial.
Right.
Pussy. The judge ruled to permit some and to ban others. However, the judge added that if any witness wanted to be not photographed, they had to say, I don't want to be photographed,
right.
And their wishes would be respected. Graham was the only person who actually made this request during the trial.
Wow.
Of course he was. The judge had a remote control switch on the bench, which enabled him to cut off the camera when necessary. Oh, look at you, Judge.
Look at that.
Yeah, it was in 1956, and he's like, click.
Yeah, isn't that beautiful? Mm-hmm. Wow. A booth was built in the back corner of the courtroom for camera equipment.
Dang, dude, they had to renovate the whole damn courtroom just for television cameras.
Right. One local newspaper installed a direct telephone line from the court to its editorial room.
Jeez.
Nice. Representatives of the wire services installed teletype machines and telephones and specially provided City Hall space near the courtroom. A limited number of photographers, including some representing national coverage, received written permission to use small cameras without flash attachments. No flash.
No flash, but all you hear is
Yeah.
The trial set an all-time record for the state of Colorado and the number of jurors examined.
Oh.
In all, 231 were called.
Dang.
The two main objections.
You know what? I think they're like, we need to get this right. A lot of stuff's going on. Nothing wrong with you, FBI, but you stepped up your game here finally. Right. But we need to make sure this is right.
This is like the first case we had where the FBI didn't drop the ball in some way or another.
Right.
231 were called. The two main objections to panel members being that they had fixed opinions on Graham's guilt or innocence, and that they were opposed to capital punishment.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're probably like, do you believe in the death penalty?
Right.
No. Well, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Can't have you guys here.
Right. The final jury represented a cross-section of American life. It included 2 housewives, 1 a former beauty queen.
Don't know why that matters.
2 typists.
Okay.
A movie executive.
All right.
An engineer.
Oh.
A truck driver. A sales lady. A telephone man. A lithographer. A bookkeeper. And a salesman.
Oh, good for them.
Every aspect.
Look at that. Every aspect of life.
Right. Ladies on the panel asked for a sewing machine for their dormitory while the men played cards and checkers in their spare time.
What
do you ladies need? A sewing machine would be so nice.
What do you need, see? I'll take some cards, some checkers, and some
alcohol.
What is that? What is the beer? Scholes or something? Yeah. And some cigars, eh? On the first day and almost throughout the trial, hundreds of people waited for hours in the halls outside the courtroom, hoping for a chance to get seats. They brought their lunches, afraid to leave the room for fear of losing their places.
Oh, no. It's a Star Wars premiere.
Right. The guard at the door, however, saved a seat for one woman who arrived promptly at 9 a.m. each morning.
Oh, ain't that nice?
Good for her. She was an attractive, young-looking woman.
Of course.
The wife of the United Airlines pilot of the ill-fated flight.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay. She said, why does it matter what she looks like?
Right.
She sat only a few feet from Graham throughout the trial. Who cares if she was young and attractive?
Right.
All you had to say is she was the wife.
Right. Grandma was apparently supremely calm and unconcerned during the proceedings.
Of course he was.
He had lost weight since his arrest.
Of course he did.
But he still looked healthy.
Of course he did.
He wasn't thin.
Of course he wasn't.
He wore a neat suit each day.
Of course he did.
Right. He slouched in his chair.
Mm-hmm.
He chewed gum.
Chewed gum. The judge should have immediately been, you chew that, you spit that gum out in my courtroom.
Stood, held his hand out.
Come on. If you don't have enough for the whole courtroom.
Right. While chewing his gum, he occasionally conferred with his attorneys. The district attorney, in his opening statement to the jury, said that the state would prove Jack Graham had planned the murder of his mother, Daisie E. King, coldly, carefully, and deliberately.
Well, we already know this already.
Right. He said he did.
I mean, when you make a bomb and put it on his mother's luggage, I think that's planning.
Right.
He said that one of the
hoping maybe she'd make it alive.
Maybe she won't die, but all the others
Just
will.
in case his $37,000 life insurance will work out.
He said that one of the items of evidence the prosecution would produce was a piece of yellow wire, the same type used on the electric dynamite caps.
Okay.
This piece of wire was the one which had been found in his pocket at his home.
Dummy.
And prosecution witnesses and exhibits would prove that Graham had bought about 25 sticks of dynamite, a timer and battery, and the dynamite caps, which he placed in his mother's luggage.
I mean, it's everything you need.
Right. The district attorney said that he would also prove the explosion, which occurred in the cargo pit number 4 of the airliner, had been caused by dynamite. Right, because they still got to prove that.
Right.
And could have been caused by nothing else. Right. So, yeah. So, right now, there's still a case for this guy because they need to prove that dynamite was the cause of the explosion.
No matter if he
says it or not.
Right.
You still need to have the evidence.
Be like, I don't think he's lying.
Right.
The foundation testimony concerned the jurisdiction of the Denver District Court to hear the case, the flight scheduled of the United Airlines mainliner, and identification of Mrs. Daisie E. King's photograph. Testimony established that Mrs. King and her luggage were on the airplane when it left Stapleton Airfield in Denver on the 1st of November.
I would assume so.
Right.
The ground crew personnel testified that the airplane was functioning properly when it took off from Denver. 6 state witnesses described the explosion of the DC-6B airliner at 7:03 p.m. a few miles east of Longmont, Colorado. United Airlines employees, Civil Aeronautics Board investigators, and a Douglas Aircraft Corporation engineer testified, introducing testimony describing the crash scene, removal of bodies, preservation and identification of pieces of wreckage, and removal of the wreckage. 3 of these witnesses testified that the explosion had taken place in cargo pit number 4.
Oh, okay.
So everything's shaping up the way the FBI has pieced together and the prosecutors have put together so far.
Well, on the 9th day of trial, the spotlight shifted to federal court for a hearing on a defense motion to eliminate FBI testimony and evidence.
Oh, why?
The defense attorneys contended that the FBI testimony was illegal.
Why?
That Graham had not been advised of his rights before he signed his confession.
Didn't they just say he was?
And that's what they said.
They said he advised them of his right to go for an attorney and all that. He said,
whatever, I'm going to do it.
Right.
And that it had been obtained under duress.
Oh, anybody can say that. They probably were like, you piece of shit, you killed your mother. We know you did.
Right.
We know. We've all seen the confession tapes of cops. They do some shit.
Right. It was contended that Graham's home had been searched and evidence obtained without his consent.
Oh, you don't. Why did you need consent?
The federal judge dismissed the motion following testimony by FBI agents that Graham had been fully advised of his rights and had not been mistreated during his questioning before he signed the confession. He goes, that's just a blatant lie, Judge. The agents
also lie defense attorneys.
They're like, we got 8 waivers of search,
right?
Which Graham had signed
everything, right? Under duress.
The judge is like, this trial will continue.
Yes, it will. I mean, defense attorneys, they got to do what they can.
Right.
An FBI laboratory expert identified the gray deposits on the airplane parts from the area of the cargo pit as the residue left by the explosion of dynamite.
Obviously.
He also identified a number of pieces of metal and carbon which had been found in the wreckage and debris of the crash as having come from a particular type of battery.
Right.
Which he already said he purchased the battery.
He did.
The FBI agent testified that the wire found in Graham's shirt pocket during the search of his home was identical in all examinable respects with wire from an electric dynamite cap.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we also got the owner of the electric company testified. The owner of the electric company that testified Graham had come to him early in October. and offered to work at a normal wage to get more experience. Graham had been hired and had worked for 1 week. On the final day of his employment, he had asked his employer what timing devices he carried, saying that he needed a timer which would be used with a battery, and which would not exceed 2 hours. So something less than 2 hours. I need a battery with it. What do you got?
That's red flags immediately, but hey, whatever.
Right. Well, he said he told Graham to go to an appliance store where he could get a timer operated with a spring. Got to get the one with the spring, though, he said.
Gotta get spring loaded.
Right.
A salesman for the Denver Electric Wholesale House testified he had sold Graham a 60-minute timer during the latter part of October, that Graham had represented himself as an employee of the Colorado Texas Pump Company in order to purchase the timer. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not just going to sell a timer like that to anybody.
Right. A credit manager from a Denver, Colorado Chevrolet company testified that Graham had been unable to pay a $50 deductible item on an insurance loss on his 55 Chevy, which they had repaired as a result of an accident. Graham had told the manager that his bank account was held jointly with his mother and was all tied up at the point. Graham had then commented on how easy it would be to blow up an airplane. Oh.
What an idiot.
Yeah,
why would he say that? He's like, he's like,
I don't got the money right now.
He's like,
bank.
you see the way my bank account works?
It's
And he's like,
up.
well, how easy it would be to blow up an airplane? No. The guy's like, okay. What does that have to do with your deductible here, buddy?
$50 for your
right.
truck.
We just need $50, bud.
Right. He had estimated that it would take about 2 gallons of nitroglycerin.
Jeez.
He's like, you know what it would take, though? 2 gallons of nitroglycerin.
Yeah.
He had observed the manner in which luggage was handled at Stapleton Airport, he said, and it would be easy for someone to place a bomb in an airplane. He goes, I've watched
He's telling all this to why is he telling this to a random credit manager at a Chevrolet company?
It's like, sir, I just need $50 for you to take your truck home.
What is this, sir? Just 50. Do you have the $50 or not?
Come on.
Why didn't this guy call the local police or something? Like, this guy, I just wanted a $50 deductible,
right,
and he's telling me how it's easy to blow up a plane. Like, what is going on?
Nitroglycerin and all that good stuff.
Right. I don't even know what that is. The prosecution rested its case on the afternoon of the 15th day of the trial.
I would too after that.
This is over with.
I'll just look at the jury and be like,
hey, man. Hey, man. Approximately.
And then Graham look at the jury and be like,
hey, what do you want? What do you want from me?
I guess they got me.
Approximately 80 different witnesses had testified and introduced 174 exhibits during the course of the proceedings. I know. The defense rested its case after having called 8 defense witnesses. Who the hell defended him? Who the hell defended him?
Oh,
jeez. During the course of the prosecution testimony, Graham had made statements to the press.
First grade best friend.
Right. He was cool back then. He was always a good guy. Always shared his gummy worms with me, and I never had a problem with him.
Yep.
Why are they letting him talk to the press anyways?
They didn't care.
During the course of the prosecution testimony, Graham had made statements to the press saying that when he took the stand, he would refute their testimony, tell the truth, and clear himself. However, he refused to testify all in his own behalf, and none of the 8 witnesses called on could ever offer any evidence rebutting the testimony and evidence that Graham had placed a dynamite bomb in his mother's luggage. So the defense witnesses did nothing.
They did. Did you see him not? No.
No, I didn't. Did you?
Were you there the day he took his mother to the airport? No. How long was it after you seen him? A couple weeks.
Can you tell me what was in the Christmas package? No. Can't.
I can't. All I know is Jack Graham's a good guy.
Well, thank you for your honesty.
He's always helped me out when needed. 5th of May, 1956. After being out of courtroom for deliberation.
One of them's the nitroglycerin salesman and shit. Graham, he's always been a good guy to me.
All right. 5th of May, 1956. After being out of the courtroom for deliberation for about 69 minutes.
Nice.
The jury found Graham guilty of murder in the first degree and recommended the penalty of death.
I don't understand why they didn't charge him with the other 43 murders.
Right. 2 of the Graham's attorneys filed a motion for a new trial.
Oh, new trial for what?
Right. 15th of May, 1956, the judge denied.
Damn right he did.
At this time, Graham took the stand and said that he did not wish a new trial, nor did he want his case reviewed by the state Supreme Court. His attorneys had filed this motion without his permission or consent. He's like, nah, man, I'm done.
I don't want none of this.
Done. Judge is like, are you sure? He's like, yeah.
Don't want none of this.
He's like, are you positive? He's like, yes. Are you really yes.
Well, the judge sentenced Graham to be put to death during the week of August 26, 1956.
Dang, they didn't even wait. Usually they get years.
The day, the hour, and the minute to be selected by the warden of the Colorado State Penitentiary. in Canyon City, Colorado. The Colorado Supreme Court stayed the execution of Graham on August 8th after 2 of his attorneys filed a formal record of appeal again against his wishes. On October, so he went past the date. On October 22nd, 1956, the Colorado Supreme Court confirmed the lower court decision and set the execution for the week ending January 12, 1957.
At least they gave him a couple more months.
Graham was executed in the gas chamber at the Colorado State Penitentiary on Friday, January 11, 1957, and was pronounced dead at 8:08 p.m. They should have timed it so he died at the same time the plane exploded.
Right.
Which was 7:07 p.m.
It took him 8 minutes to die from the gas.
Yeah,
Usually they do it at the top of the hour.
I would assume, right? They probably did it at like 8 and probably slowly went in there. Yeah.
Breathe that gas in for a while.
And just died.
Cray. Dang. Well, this guy.
This whole case was just stupid.
I didn't think this guy was going to be like that.
Yeah, he's a weirdo, dude.
Right.
I still don't understand why they didn't charge him for the other 43 deaths.
Nothing makes sense about this at all.
Not to mention the defense attorneys. Hey, let's put these defense witnesses on board that are going to help us out at nothing. They're going to do nothing for us. Oh, my gosh. This whole thing was idiot defense attorneys.
This is stupidity.
The FBI actually... I can find nothing that the FBI or the authorities did wrong in this case.
No.
It all went pretty smoothly.
I was surprised as well.
From November to, I guess it was almost 2 years. A year and 2 months, he was dead afterwards, which is pretty damn short for usually people on death row and getting the death sentence and stuff. So, I mean, wow,
kudos.
Yeah, kudos to the system worked this time. Huh? Mm-hmm. Good for them. Good for them. Flight bombing, Flight 629 bombing, 1955, November 1st. That's what it is right there. And like I told you guys in last week's episode, told you it took some twists and turns. And this guy is
he's a murderer.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell was happening. He
He's
probably
a
did.
Murderer.
He obviously had something wrong in his head, but not enough that he didn't know what the hell he was doing. That he could have been declared mentally ill.
Guarantee you, if his wife wrote a book, because she was with him most of the time, so she's seen probably some crazy stuff she really hasn't said or anything.
Right? Did his wife testify?
No, I don't think so.
Huh? I don't think you can testify against your.
No, that's right. Yeah, I guarantee you, there's some crazy stuff there. Right. I would like to see it, like a diary of her or something, man. She had to come out sooner or later. Or she was like, I'm done with the whole situation.
Yeah, like, please leave me alone. I don't want anything else to do with this.
I'm ashamed to even talk about it.
She was like, one thing I will say, though, is I had a pretty good keen eye measurement on that package. Give me some credit on that one. 18 inches long.
And I'm not even going to talk about the package he gave his mother.
Boom.
Talk about the package he gave me.
Bada bing, bada boom. And with that, we will end this episode of Outlaws and Gunslingers, bombing of Flight 629.
Long Schlong Graham. He is a dirty man.
He is a dirty man.
Oh, man.
He's a dead man now. And with that, I think we'll be back next week.
So who gets the $37,000 life insurance?
Nobody.
Next of kin?
I don't think it gets paid out.
I think it has to. He got it. I mean, it's.
But I don't think it gets paid out if it's in
wrongful death.
Him, though.
Wrongful death.
Well,
who's going to sue?
Malicious ways.
Who's going to sue?
Family members.
The insurance company.
Family members.
Yeah, but the insurance company is going to sue?
Probably.
Like, no, we can't give you this type of money.
Not doing that.
No.
I think we'll be back next week for Hell's Angels. That's not set in stone yet. But either way, we will be back next week, as we always are back every single week with Outlaws and Gunslingers. Either Hell's Angels, maybe we'll do Watergate. We got a couple things down our sleeves for
Just think about
the next
guys.
couple weeks.
We haven't even touched the Mafia yet.
Not touched the Mafia yet. We got lots of stuff to go before the Mafia. But yeah, join us next week for either Hell's Angels, Watergate. Who knows? But if you guys are interested in the Civil War, we also have a show on the Bang Dang Network. Our battles of the American Civil War, where we go from first battle to last battle.
We do.
And break down the...
not every show.
Not every show, just battle by battle, obviously.
First battle,
chronological order from first battle to last battle. And we relive the atrocities and the bloodiness of the American Civil War, episode by episode, battle by battle. That's on the Bang Dang Network. And yeah, we will be back next week for another edition of Outlaws and Gunslingers, where the Mouth of Michiganders